Hey guys, Hassan back at it once again with a brand new video for you, and welcome to a random commentary I'm just recording. I don't know what I'm even going to use this for yet. It could be an online racer episode, it could be a career mode episode, because I got a feeling this one's going to go long. So I'm not quite sure what I'm using this one for yet, but I'm sure you'll find out when it's uploaded. Okay, so on Facebook and Twitter, I asked for your questions for an Ask Harrison video. I haven't done this in a little while, so I thought now would be a good time to do another one. So, without further ado, here are your questions, and I pretty much said, ask me anything you like. So, from the top. Okay, I'll be honest, this bit is edited in. I did the original commentary bit for this video the day before, but this question was so good, I edited the footage to get this question in right from the top. I got it on Twitter this morning from a guy you probably know in the F1 communities. His name is Tiamat Marduk. I'm sure you know who he is. And he said the following essay to me on Twitter via direct message. He said, "Somehow I stumbled across some of your old Dre talks like Mickey vs. Athlete, Armageddon, F1 2013 Early Access, etc. and realised how petty all those things were. But anyways, the reason why I'm writing this is for your Q&A video. Question: do you think the F1 community is better now than what it was back then? If not, when was the state of the community at its best? I always enjoy the sort of community-based videos. Anyways, hope I'm not too late in sending a question." Okay. Interesting question. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of in two minds on this one, because to me, I think there is a lot of underlying hate within the F1 community. I think a lot of people don't like other people, and it's kept in private pretty much. There's a lot of, I think there's a lot of backdoor bitching. I think there's a lot of people complaining. I think there's a little bit of in-house jealousy here and there. That's just my honest take, and from my experiences of people I've been around since I talk to people quite regularly within the community. Just because it's bigger doesn't necessarily mean it's better. I mean, it's nice to see 4 or 5 guys now with 10,000 plus subscribers, and it's nice seeing guys that are constantly growing now as well. Like I said, like the Matties, the Nobles of the world. The Aravas out there that are really, working hard and doing a great job to improve their position within the community. However, I don't like that a lot of guys seem to complain over little things, and I must admit, I'm part of the problem because I'm one of the more vocal guys. I've always been open to speaking my mind. I've never been afraid of pissing people off if it's just my honest view on a certain situation or incidents or anything like that. I've never been afraid to speak my mind on certain things, and I know I'm part of the problem because I know that I've alienated myself within the community with a few people because of things I've done in the past. However, there is a lot of banter, there's a lot of camaraderie between most of the higher end folks, which is nice to see. And like I said, I've always wanted to work with more people, and like I said, 95% of the community I get along with just fine. And that's more than enough for me, because I consider myself lucky to be in that kind of position. The community in general, though, there's a lot less, I feel, community spirit, I want to say. I think there's a lot less in terms of people working with each other, unless it's on like an occasional parody or something like that, which is just for comedic purposes. I'm not gonna lie, I'd love to work with more people. I'd love to do more around the corners. I'd love to do more I'd love to do more hangouts. I even want to start, watching races live with people. I did that for Canada earlier this season. I really enjoyed it. But I think there's a lot of underlying hate, but I think on the surface, I think it's still quite good. That's how I see it. But I think my favourite time in the community may be something like about a year ago when I was making F1 2012 videos. I think there was a lot more positive feelings amongst most people, and I don't think there was as much bitching or under the closet kind of hate, for example. So yeah, that's just how I see it. I'm going to my Ask FM inbox first on this one. Chaz Bradley asks me, Thoughts on cheating in sport to win, i.e. Crashgate, Uruguay versus Ghana, dive in with Ramirez. For those guys who aren't 100% sure, Crashgate I'm sure was Singapore 2008 when Alonso won with PK hitting the wall on purpose. Uruguay Ghana was the 2010 World Cup where Luis Suarez batted down a ball from the goal line with his hands to save his country. It worked out in the end because Asamoah Gyan missed those penalties. And Ramirez he dived in a Premier League game against West Brom last week. There was contact in the box, but it was really soft, and Ramirez had gone down like he'd been shot. My thoughts on cheating has always been this: if you think you can get away with it, you might as well do it, because like in so many sports you can bend the rules and get away with it. Like boxing, for example, and mixed martial arts are two sports where you can blatantly cheat and get away with it, like grabbing the fence of the cage. If you can do that, chances are you might get a warning. Like, you got to do that a lot for a referee to take a point off you. So I've always said, if you can get away with it, you might as well, because it happens in so many sports. You know, you might as well. Crashgate speaks for itself. Uruguay versus Ghana, Suarez was absolutely right to pat the ball off the line. I know it was blatant cheating, but if you let that go in, you're out of the World Cup. If you bat it down, you'll get sent off. But at least it gives a chance for your goalkeeper to be a hero. So, you know, in a do or die situation like that, you gotta bat it down. Surely, sacrifice yourself for the sake of your team. It makes sense to do that. As unethical as it is, it's just the reality of the situation. But like I said, there will always be people who think they can bend the rules in sport, and you know, it's up to the regulations of said sport to try and keep it in check. A question from a fellow Harrison. I think that's Harrison Whitworth via Race with an IGP asking me, if you could only listen to one band or artist for the rest of your life, who would it be? I'd probably say Jamiroquai. They've always been my favourite band. Have been for about 10 years now or so. I love their work. Some of the best music videos of all time have come from Jamiroquai. Virtual Insanity and Deeper Underground, the song I think that was used in Godzilla. Two brilliant music videos there, and you know, JK, he's a huge petrol head. I love him very much. He's a fellow Ealing boy as well. He's a fellow local dude. So he went to my high school, Drayton Manor High School. So I got a lot of love for JK and Jamiroquai. I think they're brilliant, and yeah, I think they're awesome. I think they've got great music going on as well. But to be honest, I have quite a versatile taste in music. Like, if it wasn't Jamiroquai, I'd probably say Avenged Sevenfold. I'll listen to anything that sounds good, to be honest, so, you know. Okay, to Twitter. Gooded, with 2 questions. I shouldn't even normally be asking 2, but I'm in a generous mood. Has David Valsecchi been treated badly by Lotus as he is a capable reserve? Well, how do we know he's a capable reserve if he's never driven the car? He might be terrible for all we know. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he won the 2012 GP2 championship, but at the same time, the step up in quality is very different from GP2 to Formula 1. And like, a lot of people say, you know, Valsecchi should have gotten the seat for these last 2 races. You know, what's the point of a reserve driver if you're not going to use him? I understand that. I kind of agree with that statement, but at the same time, since Lotus have still got second to play for in the Constructors' Championship, I think it's not ideal that he takes the seat now, because, I mean, you're taking a very, very big risk on David Valsecchi delivering for you when it's his first time in a proper Formula 1 weekend, when guys like Heikki Kovalainen were available. And Heikki Kovalainen is incredibly experienced, is a very good driver, and has driven a range of Formula 1 cars up and down the grid in terms of quality. He's been a McLaren, Renault, Caterham. He's had cars up and down the field, and he definitely knows what he's doing. So for Heikki to come in and qualify in 8th for the American Grand Prix tonight, I think is a brilliant result for the Lotus team. They needed that experience, and they got it, and that's what Heikki called on. So I think it worked out quite nicely for them. I do feel a bit sorry for Valsecchi, because I think if it was any other opportunity, or if Lotus had nothing to play for, I think Vasecki would have been given the drive. But given how important Lotus's current situation is, they needed a guy of experience, and I think Heike is doing very well for them at the moment. So I think that was overall the right move, to me anyway. So let's have a look at Jay Thacker asks as well. I think that's how you pronounce your name. Sorry if I get that wrong. Well, what do you think about Alonso's future? I think next year will be his next year. I think next year will be his last with Ferrari if he doesn't win a world championship. I mean, Alonso has done, I think, what, 4 seasons with Ferrari now? I think since 2010, I think. It was at McLaren 07. He did 2 years at Renault 08 and 09. So yeah, he went to Ferrari in 2010. So this will be his 4th season with the team without any success. He's been a runner-up down there, I think, 3 times in that 4-year period. It's pretty unlucky, because if Alonso had a handful more points, he'd be a 5-time world champion by now, but that's just Formula 1 for you. But I think it's pretty clear the Alonso experiment at Ferrari hasn't worked. And I think that's more down to Ferrari's equipment more than Fernando himself, who's one of the best drivers ever to grace the sport. I think Alonso is a top 10 to 15 driver of all time, in my opinion. So, I mean, Alonso is 33 years old, I think. I think he's either 32 or 33. He's entering the twilight of his career. It's only downhill from here. Like, Alonso's in his prime. I think he should roll the dice one more time, because Alonso's not particularly loyal to a team. He'll go to where he thinks he can win. Maybe McLaren in 2015, once they get Honda power again, might be the best solution for his problems. But I don't think Ferrari are going to be the team to deliver him a 3rd World Drivers' Championship he so desperately craves. I don't think Ferrari are the answer. I think he may have to go elsewhere again. And I know Red Bull aren't going to take him, because Red Bull like to hire from within their own, and they're building their team around Sebastian Vettel. People want to criticise Vettel for, he's this. He's a one-driver guy and all that. But Fernando Alonso is exactly the same in Ferrari, and just one of those situations where I don't think Ferrari are going to answer his questions of can he win a World Drivers' Championship again. He's come so close on 3 different occasions now that he may have to consider his options elsewhere if he wants to win, because I don't think Ferrari are good enough, even with James Allison at the team now. We've got to wait and see. But right now, I don't think it looks good. Right, to my Facebook page, I've got a lot of questions on here as well, but let's start from the bottom. Aaron Davidson asks, Hulkenberg or Maldonado to Lotus for next season? If it were me, I would say Hulkenberg, but you also have to consider Lotus's financial situation. It's not wonderful. I know Quantum bought out 30% of the team. I don't know how much cash that is, but it must be a decent stake, and I hope it's enough that Lotus don't have to consider money when it comes to employing a driver and just take the best driver available, which right now to me is Nico Hulkenberg. Even though I must admit I don't think either option is particularly bad. I think Maldonado is a twat of a person, really, after giving his comments after what he said after qualifying in America yesterday, but he's clearly a talented driver who knows what he's talking about. So I'd say Hulkenberg if it was my choice, personally. Kwame's got 3 questions on here, but I'll answer them. So I'll spread them out a little bit. But where do you think Sergio Perez and Nico Hulkenberg will be next season? I think Hulkenberg will go to Lotus. I think he'll get the Lotus seat in the end. I'm not sure about Sergio Perez. He might get the Force India seat if Sittel gets the chop. But if he doesn't get that, he's in real trouble. He might go back to Sauber. They might cut Gutierrez and bring Perez back again. I'm not sure. We'll see on that one, but I'm really not sure on Perez's future. He's definitely got options if other teams want to bring him in. Depends on how eager they are to sign a Mexican with money. Owen Quemby asks, who do you think will have the best engine next year? My money's on Mercedes. I've already heard a lot of rumblings saying they've got an engine that's 100 brake horsepower more powerful than their championship rivals in Renault and Ferrari. If that's true, that's ridiculous. So I'm hearing a lot of talk about Mercedes. I do tend to value German engineering a little bit higher than the Ferraris of the Italians do. So, as my phone goes off, that's a bit... 1 minute. There we go. Sorry about that. But, yeah, I think Mercedes have the best engine. I think I'd like their engineering a little bit more. Honda's engines will be ridiculously powerful in 2015 and reliable. So that's another thing to consider as well. Nathan Green asking me opinion in company cars in Formula 1 and motorsport in general. I don't know how the situation is in other motorsports outside of Formula 1. I know company cars are banned in Formula 1, and I think it's a good thing they're banned, because if they weren't, I think the teams at the top would make even more money, and I don't think it would balance out right. I mean, think of it this way. There are 3 or 4 elite teams in Formula 1 right now. Lotus, Red Bull, Mercedes and Ferrari. Maybe McLaren. If it's good McLaren, then it will probably be, if we can throw them in the mix as well. If they sell their old chassis to smaller teams, they'll make even more money, which they can spend on developing their cars even further. So it might have a short-term increase in terms of making the field closer together. But in the long term, the bigger teams would make even more money, and I don't think that's particularly right either, in my humble opinion. So I think it's a good thing company cars are banned. I like how they use it in MotoGP. Where the claiming rules teams, the CRTs, can pretty much build their bikes from spare parts, and the good thing about that is their bikes are not that much slower than the rest of the field, maybe half a second a lap at most, which is a good thing. The next question, James White asking me, has McLaren fired the wrong driver? No. Jenson Button is still much better than Sergio Perez is. And Button is still experienced. He's still a top-level driver. I think the McLaren car has been very poor this season. But I do think Sergio Perez deserved a second chance, rather than getting cut after one season when you can't see what he really does, given the fact that the McLaren 2013 car is most definitely worse. I'd say it's worse than last year's Sauber, funnily enough. So I think Perez getting cut after a year for Magnussen. I don't know what Perez done to deserve getting the chop, quite frankly. But maybe I'm missing something. I don't know what McLaren were expecting out of him, to be honest. Captain Titteren asks, who will win the Premier League this season in football? I honestly have no idea right now. It's the tightest football league I think I've ever seen right now. There's easily 5 or 6 teams that can win. And there's about 8 or 9 that can get Champions League football. That's the scary thought right now. It's the closest top half of the table I think I've ever seen. So, Man City, Man United are up there. Tottenham are up there. Liverpool are up there. Everton don't lose very often. Southampton are surprising everybody right now. I mean, it's really hard to say. So, I mean, it could be any of those guys, quite frankly. It also coincides with Kwame's second question about what BPL teams will get into the top 4. I honestly have no idea, and I don't think anybody confidently can say so either. Kwame also asking me, what NFL time do you... what teams, I'm guessing teams he means by that, do you think will qualify for the playoffs? NFC-wise, I think the Lions will win the North. I think the Cowboys will probably just win their division over the Giants, because the Giants always go on a run. The scary thing is the Giants have been awful this season, but they're only a game and a half behind the division leaders, because the whole division, the whole Cowboys, Eagles, Redskins, Giants have all played crap this season. I reckon Carolina and the Saints will come out of their division as a wild card, and I think the other wild card will go to either the Seahawks or the 49ers. More than likely the 49ers at this point, because the Seahawks are looking really good at 8-1 right now. Even though they've had a few close scrapes, they're still looking really good at 8-1 right now to probably go through on their division. On the AFC side, I think the Patriots will win their division. I think the Colts will win their division. I think the Bengals will probably win their division. And I think the Broncos or the Chiefs will win their division on that side, and I think whoever doesn't win will get the wild card. One of the 2 wild card berths, either Denver or Kansas, because Kansas already 9-0, Denver are 8-1. They play each other tonight on Sunday Night Football, actually, which will be a great game. Who gets the other wild card spot? Might be the Baltimore Ravens. They might scrape their way back in. It could be the San Diego Chargers, who are still playing decent football. Hell, even the Jets could make the wild card if they keep playing like this. If they keep their binary record up, they could end up being, you know, like maybe 9-7, and that might be enough in the AFC. Who knows? So that's definitely a viability as well. Already been asked. Richard Evans asking me about Perez getting a drive for next season. Already been done. I've already kind of talked about that. Owen asking me again, will Bottas finish in the top half of the points next season? You're asking for a top 11 spot. He's going to need about 20-30 points for that. It would take a big leap from the Williams team for that to happen. I'm not sure, to be honest. I hope he does, because Bottas is a talented driver, and I think he's got very good raw qualifying pace. That might be enough. I'm not sure. Got to wait and see. But I think he's very talented. It would take a bit of a reach and a much improved Williams for that to happen, though, in my opinion. A couple more questions. Andrew Hamblin asking me, where do you see your channel in the next year? I'd like to get to 6,000-7,000 subscribers by the end of next year. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit jealous of seeing some of my peers snowball in terms of subscribers. I know Alex Zaffaro has over 13,000. I know Tiamat Marduk's getting close to 15,000. I think Arab's going to pass me very soon. I think he just hit 3,000 a couple of days ago. I'm kind of limping, and I don't really know why. I think I've done a bit better since F1 2013 came back. But overall, I'm not in the same spot as other people. I think guys like Noble is getting up there as well. So I'm not sure where I fit into the F1 community anymore, to be honest. I'm kind of like a hybrid guy now, focusing on motorsport in general. So I do a lot of MotoGP and grid videos as well. So I'm not a pure F1 guy anymore. So I don't really know where I stand in the community. But all I know is I just hope I can keep making decent videos for you guys who are watching. And, you know, we'll just see what happens, I guess. But, you know, I'm guessing me not being a pure F1 director, I think, in general, hurts me a little bit. Where, you know, I'm kind of stunting my own growth to focus on other series to an extent. If that makes any sense. I mean, I'm not 100% sure on that, and I'm not going to try and apply logic to YouTube's algorithms, because I don't know, to be honest. But we just got to wait and see what happens, I suppose. Johannes asking me, what do you think about YouTube's new comment system, or YouTube now in general? YouTube's new comment system isn't as bad as what the internet's making it out to be. It's like, oh, it's terrible, you know, you can't have freedom of speech anymore, and, you know, you can't say this, you can't say that, blah, 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 and people didn't realise that YouTube's comment system previously wasn't particularly good either. And YouTube has all these extra services that Google own, like Blogger and all things like that. And I can see what YouTube have done. I can see what Google has done. They've tried to group it all together, so you only need a Google Plus account to comment now. But the fact they're shoving Google Plus down our throats is something I don't particularly agree with. It's something I don't particularly like. I'm not very keen on that. Why should you have to have a Google Plus account to use YouTube just because you own YouTube now as a company? It doesn't make any sense. Like, why not just fix YouTube rather than forcing everybody to use a Google Plus account now to comment? I think that's bullshit. No one uses Google Plus regularly, in my opinion, in my circle of friends or in my circle of the F1 community. So why does it have to happen now? I like the fact they have certain things like allowing links in comments now. That's a good move. It's not totally terrible, but it's not great either. It's a flawed system again, and you know, I think it's actually making people comment less as well, which isn't a good thing when it comes to YouTubers and their pockets and what they're earning. So, you know, yeah, that's my take on it. YouTube in general, I said it before. I don't think there's ever been a worse time to start a YouTube than right now. It's a community where it's so hard to put your foot in the door now because there are 9 or 10 guys out there that are growing at a ridiculously fast rate, and they're going to dominate the sector very soon. But that's how YouTube works. YouTube focuses on the big guys, not the little ones. They've always been like that. They want the big guys to make more money, and they want the smaller guys to bend over backwards for if you're a smaller guy, it's harder than ever to get your foot in the door. And I know it's easy for me to say when I've got nearly 4,000 subscribers, but in general, I kind of feel like that right now, it's harder than ever to get your foot in the door and make your mark, because YouTube focuses so much on audience retention, and bigger channels get all the advertising space, and that's just how it is. And you know what? If you're YouTube and if you're Google, that's smart business. You focus on the guys that are making you the most money. Why focus on somebody that's making you £10 a video when you can focus on someone that's making you 100,000 a video? If you're a business owner, that's just a smart thing to do. The downside is that the smaller channels get screwed. That's just how YouTube operates, unfortunately, and I don't like it. It's not particularly fair, but it's business. Business is not fair either. So just got to ride it out, I suppose. And final question from Miguel Silva. I was like, what do you think of the Portuguese drivers that were in F1? I don't remember anyone else besides Monteiro, and he was okay, but it was with a shitty team. So I guess it's not really, you can't really put a lot of stock into that, really, I suppose, which is kind of a shame, but, you know, what can you do? I think that's everything. I think I covered everything on that one. Yep, so I will leave it there. I hope you guys enjoyed asking me questions. I'll definitely do this more often, and I hope you guys enjoyed my commentary. Again, I'm not 100% sure what I'm putting this over right now. It could be an online race, or it could be an F1 career mode video. I'll make the decision on that later. But in the meantime, I hope you guys like and thumbs up the video if you enjoyed it. Comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. I'm Harrison101. Thank you very much for watching. Sayonara.